Good evening, 30th 10th 2018. Yet again, one of those days I'm in bed. Right, let's get some facts about this Department of Works and Pensions. Personal independence, computer software system. And then don't get me started about the care in my area, United Kingdom, and the lies, deceit, the presumptions going on. Couldn't even believe this. Only under duress since the 3rd of the 10th 2017 did I call up the first point of access number. The county council of my area. I found out today it all links up. There's all this information that's going on. So there's no evidence to date of any offer of a Care Act assessment 2014 within my I can't even get this right, I tell you, I can't believe this. All of my physical, psychological disabilities, and it's nothing new for people going through this. So the actual funding goes through a local in my area, well, it's all over the bloody news for months anyway, the cutbacks. But the first meeting was offered on the 25th of 5th 2018. Right. That was in a cafe with, they call it Voiceability National So-Called Charity. Yeah, right. So that first advocate, she seemed alright, Sinead. And then that was the first meeting of this social worker called Evie. She leaves tomorrow, by the way, her work, so I'm left without anything. And then by the Friday, the 1st, the week after, of the 6th, 2018, never ever was informed I need an occupational therapy assessment. For what, I do not know. And it was led to me, I did not know since what led to me calling them in the first place last year was I had a sudden heart attack and all my body froze. I couldn't move in bed. And it weren't for me streaming, talking to my daughter-in-law at the time on Facebook. She called 999 from Sussex in UK, and the police had to break my door in, and the ambulance crew to save my life. So yeah, she's saying, "Can I meet the PIP?" I'll tell you, it's a bloody joke, isn't it? And anyway, my health deteriorated ever since. On top of that, it led to believe that that was September 27th of 9th 2017. Well, the effects of my housing disrepair, it's caused my deterioration, my health on top, so it's cost the public purse more. Right. So therefore, eventually gets home from hospital, and in hospital I asked they call it a discharge team. And I asked the social worker who works at the council, they're meant to like link up services there, what new could be offered, because my mates are struggling to care for me, right? So it is very hard work for them, and as I get ill, I'm constantly all bloody in bed all the time, and all my medical aids, you can imagine, it's just bloody a nightmare. Anyway, I try to exist. So that's why I called them, because them lot in the hospital refused to make a referral for me. Great, eh? So I eventually get home, and when I could eventually call up, and this guy called Ollie at their call centre at the council said, "Oh yeah, you meet the criteria of the care management, and you spoke to 3 care managers, and I have all these, because I was on the system before, you see, for years. And as I reported all the abuse that happened in my home and a previous displacement from my home over the years, and I found all more evidence of that, by the way, my old paperwork of the names who was involved, and the videos and recordings, where I got hoisted once into a bath of hot water, and that was my back all burns, yeah. Then I'll get verbally abused. There's so much shite that's been going on in 2012-13. So you can imagine by their Olympics Care Services employees at the time, their limited company, they're owned by the county council, so they're all in bloody public sector funded. They're all still on. But I was promised this year that nobody from before would be offered to me in any kind of service by the company. And now they got the monopoly, and all these bloody care homes and day centres and occupational therapy services still. So what goes on during the past months and weeks, I got this bloody social worker Evie only trying to drag up the old past, didn't she, in bloody emails. And especially when I had to protect my safety myself by the abuse that's going on in my own bloody home, 17 different females a bloody week, and then the verbal abuse, physical harm, dropping me off the hoist, didn't put the sling around me properly when they hoisted me up and dropped me on my bloody spine and my back on my bloody floor. So of course I'm bloody recording all this and reporting it all, and nobody gets out accountable. You get one at the time. There was they call it what's it called? A care supervisor. That's it. A care supervisor. Now she's chatting to somebody outside my flat, witnessed by my nosy neighbour at one time, and he gets to tell me this. This is a while ago now, and turns out female, that ex-care leaver, she moves up above me in the flat, and turns out this supervisor female called Stacey knows her and starts blabbing about my private life to her, and that started me having 3 years of campaign of pure disability hate. So extreme, I can't even go into it, tell you. And this housing company don't give a shite, because I kept diaries and stuff of what went on, and they eventually led to serious hate crime, and I had to report to the police. I still got the police report and what they call it, victims report. I had all that, and the police did know. They just give me crime number, and yet I reported all that, and still nobody got out accountable. So you can imagine it just went on to end of the 2014. I had to do rejection of the offers because I've been trying to get my own care package funding. They call it self-direct support, and ever since 2012, 2013, 2014, there was, especially in 2013, one time where they tried to set me up by this Olympics Care Limited public building, was called a county hall up the road. They sold it all off now. And I didn't know about my rights, what I know now, obviously. And at the time, there was this woman called Stephanie. She's like a care manager, young, like up and coming social worker. And I found out more about her since. And she said, oh, we need to reassess you. They didn't even offer appointment on my own, and they didn't even offer me a care, like an advocacy, a female, like, to support the vulnerable people that you're meant to have. And I had to find out about that. So it's been one thing after another for years. And what they did at the time, it used to be known as the Young Disabled Adults team, and they changed all the titles around, same people, but just changed it all around. And what they done was kept printing old, out-of-date care plans. So I've got one, for example, dated 2012, and it just put the bare minimal information. So of course, since last year, I've reduction in my right side. So of course, how I got reduction in my right, my transferring, for example, from a wheelchair to the shower toilet commode in the day, completely weak, and I fall, and I don't gauge on the only right foot I got, which I can no longer stand independently at all anymore, and I can't even use this. I can't feel my right hand anymore, and this is the only hand I got to use, and it's neuroscience, something to do with the brain. I found out last year, ever since when I got run over, when I hit the road on my back, it done something to the nerves into my brain or something. I'm not an expert in all this, and how it affected the nerves of the spine, the spinal cord, and yeah, so that specialist report, that bloody social worker all these past weeks and months, completely not medically trained, completely just ignoring it all. That was a specialist specialist university type hospital in London I went to at the time, 5-stay ward, And that report, neurosoical, I can't pronounce a long word, it went into details basically how I ended up hitting the road with my head, and I never ever got x-rayed when I got one over. My spine, my head, CT scans, nothing at the time. Only my left, with a car ran over my left ankle and jumped the curb. And I found all that additional evidence for the PIP, which these local bloody nasty pieces of work called social workers in my area, lack of care management, lack of coordination with the cutbacks going on, didn't bother to look at this evidence I finally found. And it showed I had 9 witnesses to being run over. Police didn't turn up. If they had, I would have got somewhere compensation, perhaps, I don't know. But anyway, and I found the evidence of the 9 witnesses, I found the evidence of the x-ray reports, and then I went, because I had to go through my old paperwork, good job I kept it, and then I found the old evidence of the hospital reports, and this is, I'm still waiting for my GP medical records, but at least I found all this, and I was able to use it for the PIP. You would have thought I'll get like a paper assessment, so I don't have to face strangers in my bloody home. Well, I've been trying to get home visit. I mean, the medical evidence eventually by the current GP went off and confirmed, yeah, I meet the BIS criteria for home visit. Well, they pee me about PIP, where they kept sending me to try and get to Coventry. In my area, it's like about an hour away, and I don't get outside my bloody home. And if I do, it has to be by my private friends. They call it planning, yeah, planning a journey. So like these care meetings, it was the same cafe, the same time, so I would know exactly where to go in the wheelchair and come home. Right, yesterday I had a Russian friend. I haven't seen him for ages, and he was with me, so I felt reasonably okay, and was trying to do a DIY job on my own. That's the joke, but he's trying, bless his heart. Anyway, so that's the complications where it gets into all the nits and crannies, what you can and cannot do with it, with the PIP. So, right, what I can do, like, there's a PIP diary. So I started that again, and I can't bloody write with a pen anymore. So I just try to write these notes for this stream instead of like keep the focus. And I can't even bloody write. My handwriting is like a bloody 10-year-old now, so I've got no coordination. And that never used to be like that before last year. And so, of course, when you're trying to have these bloody so-called care act assessments of these so-called social workers, they got no bloody clue what you're going through. And if they offered me home visit to assess me at home, like the care act assessment meetings, they would have seen what I'm going through all these weeks and months. And my God. And then we're going back like September, no, where are we now? This summer just gone. They're going off on their holidays or whatever they're doing, and yet they can't replace a temporary social worker for me, and that creates 8 weeks delay. And then a care advocate suddenly goes off sick, and I have to wait another 8 weeks on top of that for another care advocate female to replace her. And what they do is a young girl, no disrespect to Kayling, but they try, but she's has no clue on the complexity on both physical and the neuropsychology, that's it, of brain injury, right? So of course I'm dealing with people that's got no medical training. They just got basic social care qualifications, and then I'm dealing with an advocate that's got it's only mental health trained in like basic things, and no real sort of training in anything. So, oh God, I'm being my own bloody lawyer here. So then the difficulties I get with the communication is because apparently I think that's why my sister was panicking. Like one of my videos on this channel was when she got miscommunication on one of my texts. I ended up in hospital how long ago? September, beginning of September this year. Again. And that was a freak accident where I get weak because of something to do with the brain. something to do where it connects the spine, your body gets so fatigued and weak. And if you get stress, well then, unfortunately, anything could trigger off stress, can't it? So it affects my coordination on my right side, which my upper right side of my body now, like yesterday, I couldn't bloody move my arm. So I was in bed again. And then this morning again, because how do you lift up a cup? I can't even bloody do that now. And so it's like I feel like a bloody great big baby, I tell you. I really just feel so embarrassing. And then, of course, how do you describe embarrassing when you can't use the loo? You know what I mean? You can't walk, so what do you use? This is one of the questions social worker said to me. So, how do you go to the loo then? How do you go to the effing loo? Well, excuse me, I've got a device attached to my bed. You know, like you're in a hospital. It really is like a hospital setting in my flat. And the amount of equipment I've got. So you would have thought, wouldn't you, some blinking idiot on their computer at these capita call centres they're using software computer system to type in your evidence, your medical, scan it into their computer system. Apparently they haven't done anything like this. They haven't done it at all. That's why I had last week that idiot, whoever it were, turning up at 9:15 outside my window. I'm bedbound. I can't do nothing about it. And now they failed me, like put me back to square one. And just because, like, the first two appointments was to Coventry. Well, my GP, the medical evidence confirmed everything. I need a home visit because everything I have offered is at home. And so they didn't look at the medical evidence, did they? Then why the hell didn't these social worker people offer me home visits or these meetings? So I'm ready, no matter what you try and email, complain, you do all this stuff, they don't do nout. That's my area, it's deliberate because all the cutbacks going on. They don't want to help people with high care needs and where it's costing. They want to build big buildings at 54 million quid, but they don't want to help ordinary people to help them have a quality of life. It's about genocide, if you ask me, anyway. And then, unfortunately, communication. So, one tries their best to lawfully and be honourable to communicate. So, I have to have, unfortunately, help to hold this camera phone, for example. And then I'd need help to make phone calls and do emails and put them together. I never used to be. I used to do things okay before last year, and the effect of being hostile, what happened, unfortunately, I need more help in that area. So that has changed. So the physical on the right side and the communications changed. My care needs, what they do for me, has changed because of the disrepair housing side of it all on top. Okay, so the presumption ever since, as I said, 3rd of the 10th last year, 2017, on top of the housing disrepair, on top of then getting ill with the dental infection, with the glands, everything else, that's when I was only able to meet up with the first point meeting with these public servants. Okay, right. And then I didn't know what this Care Act assessment process was meant to be. Well, I'll soon find out and know a lot more about it all. Come to the point in hand. Well, on the 25th of this month, a Wednesday last week, this social worker, public servant female, had got everything twisted. She'd contradicted herself in an email. My mates just found it out for me, checking my emails out. And that first I would re-offered because I had no clue all of these weeks and months that I would need. Why would I need an occupation therapy assessment? Right, if it's just because of my weakness on my right side now, my transferring, fine, I could see that logical point. And none of my equipment needs are changed. That's when it usually happens. And if it's to do with the disrepair still going on, well, this housing company already got enough information to aid them, and they've just been turning me down blatantly and lawfully to make reasonable adjustments for my needs. That comes into, I would have thought, the housing ease outcomes in the Care Act 2014. So I said, right, okay, you find me somewhere suitable to live, i.e. housing with care or assisted living model. And on the Friday the 31st of the 8th 2018, it was looking into that aspect, and then out the blue there was somebody behind the scenes. I believe it was this social worker's line manager, claimed that I need an occupational therapy assessment. Well, all these months and weeks nothing was mentioned until that date. So as it was from this very company, not saying it's the same people, but I found out it were, boiled down to I didn't consent to have any dealings with the same people involved in what's happened to me before. And then I find this female known as Susan, going back in the beginning of June 2018, when her email suddenly is not working, and then claims she's off, but I can't even get an email for her. So as I said last Wednesday's email was seeking a confirmation off of the email phone number for the woman, and then I get the news like 2 weeks ago that this current social worker is now going to be a redundancy package and she's leaving the job, and now they can't find a replacement to offer me. And now I'll find out on another email going back on this date, 19th of 10th 2018. My mate just found that out for me, checked my emails, and found out that this social worker, either she's contradicted herself, and she said, oh, this care advocacy female will not get involved in the continuing of this Care Act 2014 until an occupational therapy assessment is completed. Well, that's a bit contradictory, because I got an email as well claiming, as I cannot cope with strangers on my own, and there's reasons behind all that and all, and my friends can't get the extra time off and sitting on meetings and things I need help with, I was going to be offered the same care advocate female to sit in of an occupation therapy assessment while that can be completed. And then suddenly it all happened out the blue. Suddenly there's a referral, and suddenly I end up in hospital, and by suddenly again it's all happened the 6th of this, when are we now, 6th of September 2018. I get home from hospital and suddenly there was emergency adult safeguarding referral. What the effing that was about. See my video on that, what my sister had read a text. I don't know how that could have been. And why did that same advocate contact her instead of me? She could have texted me as I was in hospital. That's very odd the way it happened, or how quick that happened. And ever since, I was able to make it clear that I am safe. My mates were struggling while we were trying to go through this bloody process. Didn't say it quite like that, but it was fully rebutted anyway. And that's a social worker. She emailed, and my mate didn't see the email in time. I would have had so much shite on my plate. Anyway, that video is still on this channel, and that's, can't remember the date of that now, but just reference to I am safe, I am being cared for the best they can in the dire straits situation. You would have thought you can get public servants to help you, wouldn't you? But no, we're going back to square one again. Anyway, so much for family. They don't want to talk to me now, so it's up to their problem, not mine. Anyway, the made up assumption about all that got the backup of this advocacy. Why, I do not know. I find out eventually it's the advocacy manager, her sarcastic, abusive email to me. Oh, you have to hurry up with your Care Act assessment. Excuse me, in statutory law UK, the Care Act assessment process, it clearly states it needs to go in the time span and pace of the individual being assessed. It's all about your assessment, the individual's assessment, at the time and pace they can cope with, not by the pace of these public servants, just because of the cutbacks and time restraints and cutting back on their employees and rushing everything. No. So as soon as I started finding all this out, because all these emails, and you start to find out there's all these contradictory comments and things that my mates just picked up on today for me. And at the time, you're so busy trying to deal with everything else, and then unfortunately you get a personal bereavement of a family member, and you're going through all that shite on top, and then suddenly you're going on top the PIP assessment process, paperwork coming out your ears, trying to get all that done, and that's stressful and all. And yeah, so you get bombarded with everything all at once, trying to break it all down and trying to deal with your health at the same time. And then 3 referrals for medical services I still haven't been able to deal with because everything else has got in the way. So I'm back to square one with it all. And then when I get this deliberate blocking of carrying on with a Care Act assessment by the 20th of the 9th, 2018 on a Thursday, all these PIP calls, call centre calls to get these home offer visits, then a former so-called church, yeah, right, a Jesus Fellowship, right, they deliberately set me up, all right, 2 of them, 2 meetings, I should say, and I know he's behind it in my area, and why he's doing it, he's going to be held accountable, don't you worry about that, lawfully and honourably. So I got, it's computer generated appointments. You don't get a human individual that well, I don't know if anyone ever does now, but anyway, it's computer generated. They have no clue. They didn't even look at my medical evidence that I meet the national statutory social security regulations of 2013 of the personal independence on behalf of the WP, Department of Works and Pensions, if you're outside, if you're not watching this, that I meet the criteria for home visit. And also paper assessment. So they have so much evidence, they could easily make a decision on this. But well, it works for Capita PLC, the division for contracted, they make bonuses on assessing people. So they obviously could have done a pay-per-view, but they ain't going to make, these individuals are not going to make commission, are they, by just sitting at their desk and just going through your documents. They want to find you, you know, literally fit for work, well, not fit for work, just to do anything nowadays. So Coventry was out, the first one was out the question. The second one of the day I was in hospital, so that got cancelled. The third one was at the local centre, well, at a time when I'm in the middle of getting care. There's no way I could get any earlier time by my private friends. So the call, the social worker got, my mate found the email. The call was made again on the 24th of the night, 2018, just for my birthday, to well, she says in the email she called her, but it was claimed that the PIP people called her. I don't know who did what, but there just seemed to be lying between the 2 of them. Anyway, they cancelled that out, knowing full well that they should have offered a home visit. So the third appointment would be offered a home visit. Well, bingo, I get a home offer for visit, but they got the bloody time wrong again. They offered me 9:15 a.m. and the side effects of meds I'm on, they've all got all the bloody all the evidence, medical evidence, and even more since. And so when I had that through, I'd emailed the social worker. She was meant to put a phone call in, or she didn't bother to do that. My email on the 24th of the 10th, 2018, well, correction, it was the 25th, last Wednesday, to say that I can't cope with a bloody stranger in my home, let alone at that time of morning, and it's meant to be a PM of afternoon. So I tried to get hold of these former so-called two friends who was meant to help me with this. And then obviously the social worker, she knows full well I can't do all these phone calls. My mates were struggling as well. Couldn't believe it. So last week, there I am, extremely alarmed, stressed, in bed, woken up with these workmen outside my bloody window every bloody day at the moment, doing some works with all these flats around here outside. So I got woken up with that noise. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have known this woman, high heels, tottling along outside my window in the path, the noise of the high heels. And then I wouldn't hear the buzzer going off in the flat. Well, it's turned off, I still can hear it. It's very faint noise, and I've got good hearing. And then I get a phone call when I'm in bed, and I'm dozy, by the way, so side effects of meds and stuff. And yeah, so this social worker calls me, but she can't bloody respond to an email the day before. So my mate just saw that today and just working out for me and made some notes about it. Anyway, and then claims, oh, why the bloody hell the social worker called these people yesterday for me? So I wouldn't have that bloody idiot turn up my door while I'm in bed to cause me extreme alarm stress even more that I don't even know. Yeah, don't add up, does it? Anyway, this was my mate was trying to suss out for me earlier. And, you know, reading between the lines in these emails. And then, so as I said, my other friend helped me get extra medical, extremely private reports, extra information, and found out that there's certain clause that if you're at risk, it's going to cause the individual, your physical health, your psychological health at risk, overwhelming psychological alarm distress, which all of my medical evidence on record confirms everything. It's not just me saying it in black. So there's an automated computer system made assumptions. I don't know how these computers do it. I tell you the software they use, but they are. And it's a bloody nightmare. Anyway, so they did not check the medical evidence. They're not scanning your evidence, people's evidence in the computer system. So they're going on ad hoc decision making, and that's why people, especially my position, high care needs, very, I mean, they don't want to fork out. They messed about ages ago about the DLA I'm on. Well, I think they stopped it all now because they messed up. So as I said, the third appointment, third time you get an offer, and then that's it. If you, their system, computerized system, they put failed to attend. Well, I didn't attend nowhere. I'm stuck in bed. Hello. So that social worker put a call in to that call centre, and it's a bloody call centre. You don't get hold of anyone senior. So once you bloody call the Department of Works and Pensions, so that letter got sent off with all the extra evidence, unfortunately handwritten, and my mate checked the spelling for me on the letters, to and a complaint officially to the Wolverhampton DWP office, the manager there for Person Independence Department, and also for Capita and their PO box, which I doubt they'll ever even look at the paperwork people send there. And I found the email for the complaint. If they stop my DLA Wednesday, tomorrow, if they stopped it, then the complaint goes into that email box, and with all the dates of the phone calls made and what was agreed, and how the Capita, the contracted company, they're the ones, their computer systems had failed, not I. So it's not up to me to prove the negligence of the assumption being made of their employees and their computer systems by the DWP onto me. So it's assumptions being made, so it's going to be fully rebutted by the email tomorrow. And I need a good day for that. And then we're going back on to the effect of that, where my friends struggle, the areas where my weak side is, they have to do stews and prepare it day before and just heat it up for my lunch. And I have to, well, they have to, I have to have this like a bib around me, because I can't even lift that bloody spoon the way I used to very good anymore. So aids and adaptations for like feeding and stuff like that, you know, like you really feel like a big baby when it comes to limited mobility. But how can you afford the specialist type equipment, OT equipment, when even say there was an OT assessment, they are not looking at my mobility. They're not looking at, I can't cook myself. I can't even operate a bloody microwave. I can't even get into the bloody kitchen. I'm wheelchair dependent full time. So there's a lot of this I cannot do, unfortunately, despite my brain wants to. And I'm always about what I can do. I'm always trying to be positive, best I one is able to. And we're on this earth for a short period of time. That's my way of looking at life. But when I find out that they've got too many employees in that public building opposite me, and not enough people to help people in my position, and not offering the Care Act assessment, they cut it off on the 20th of the 9th, 2018. It's unlawful nationally, Section 9 of the Care Act 2014. So then I contacted disability law, various people, various systems I've used, and they all confirm I need a lawyer to sue their arse off, basically. Well, you try and find me a bloody lawyer that will take on people on the UK benefit system where there is no funding, public funding, to aid people like me. Well, you try and find even the basics in my area is only 2. The Citizens Advice will not offer me home visit, even though I'm housebound. And because it takes too much of their so-called volunteers, they're meant to have so many people work for them, they can surely offer me somebody to visit me at home. And when you've got complex personal care and everything else going on, you can't just go into the drop-in centres, you can't just get in there and it's just, and then sit around. I can't just sit around for 1 hour in a wheelchair anymore. So it needs to be based at home. And then other things you've got going on personally in your physical disabilities, you can't no longer sit around, and you have to be close to home. We're not going to go into all the ins and outs of it all. I've done that enough for these bloody weeks and months of these bloody so-called puppet servants who have not been recording on the assessment, whatever software they've used. This idiot prints out 40-page documentation that is not accessible, and they breached their National Equality Act on all. So you name it, they've been negligent. So yet again, I'm back to square one like I was before. They've only misled, page 2 now, let's get on to page 2. So they had no consent to mislead me on any of my shared private life data, which they've gone and done. They had a privacy note dated 1st of the 6th, 2018, another one, 7th of the 9th, 2018, on the day when I'm recovering from a head injury concussion. So that is all null and void in the first place, because a privacy note is not an offer contract. So that is all null and void. But as we know nowadays, Big Brother's got a data online anyway, and so what? But it's my private data, and they breached their old lawful due process and statutory law as well, and misled me. So all of Northamptonshire County Council, all of their key public services have deliberately, unlawfully misled me, and they work for the public, because public purse pay their bloody wages. So my lawful due process is being abused yet again, and I have not refused to be offered goods and services lawfully in full disclosure. But yet they have refused my choices and outcomes national policy in the Care Act 2014 to date. And using, the claim, well, basically, they've used comments, the triggers, the words, and deliberately, you got no time to get ill, you got no time to enter an hospital, you got no time to grieve from a death of a family member, and then the comments, triggers of your disabilities, physical, psychological, they don't give a shite. And then they make up the assumption, oh, now there is no social worker. So, right, 2013, 2012, 2013, 2000 reported all abuse that happened to me before. You don't get anyone from their in statute law complaints department ever bothers to investigate anything. Cover their backs up because they've already been in mainstream media for months. So you just Google Northampton County Council and you find all about it. Anyway, they go on the attack on my private life, and I've got it in proof and emails, and they go on the attack that one of the emails by the social worker relates to my private life friends who do their bloody best, and they do never harm me, and I don't do nothing to myself, and if it weren't for them, I don't know what I'd be doing today. Because they're struggling, that's the only reason last year I contacted public servants and their job role. To date, I wish I never bloody did. So be careful when you call them, find out what's available before you share your data, get full disclosure, and it is all nationally, it is all about your choices and outcomes, and have to go in your pace. And yes, they have to identify those that need the extra support. It's a bit like with the Department of Works and Pensions. You go on the government website, UK, and it states in July, can't remember, 6th July 2018, if disabled people, vulnerable adults need extra help by the system, whether it's whatever benefit you're being assessed for or offered, they have to provide it, and they have to be identified. And because they've outsourced the service onto Capita PLC, Capita Business Services Limited, head office in London, all the call centres around UK, they are not identifying vulnerable adults who need the extra support. If they had, I wouldn't be treated like this. So they are going to be got on the Equality Act, a breach 2010, disability discrimination. There's a section 2122 that arrives in every bloody services. So whether it's housing, whether it's whatever you need, whether it's NHS. I mean, it's not too bad at the moment, the NHS side, because I can't get in without a social worker. You can't get into their system to access what you need, right? That's how they work. I don't know if you know different parts of the United Kingdom, but in UK, my area, they blanket it this way. So you don't get access to voiceability because that's how the contracts work with funding. LGSS Law is a national company now, and I've known the old system. I know what this system is now, and it's people. They don't want people with high complex joint disability needs exist. It's like genocide, unfortunately, years ago in history, and this is why it's all in the news as well about universal credit. So I absolutely, under duress only, tried my utmost in these meetings, and now it's come to a head where today's email, 8 o'clock this evening, my mate could only do is put them back on the spot. They won't respond. 4 people got copied into. So this is just handwritten. I don't give a shite anymore. They can't read my writing. Nobody's coming into my bloody private dwelling, and not especially when I will not be offered any independent so-called advocacy support. And when this social worker said that she would offer me this to sit in on an occupational therapy assessment. So the only option I'm looking at now is the NHS funding, and get my mate to draft me a letter up and or do me email and get me referred to the NHS better healthcare funding instead, because I do have a medical need, and that is more complicated, but I might get a better result. And yet if they see that I already tried to get offered services by this area county council, Well, they must just say, well, okay, she meets these needs, and well, it's already on my medical notes of the doctors that I've now got no a social worker, and they've cut everything. And the guy, you should hear his tone of voice on the phone. He was shocked, and I said, "Yeah, you use the same database, don't you?" They use a System One database, and so whether you go into this care system, or whether you go into hospital, whether you end up with NHS funded services like the GPs, and they all share the data. So I made sure that call was made, because on my right side, like, my mate was going to call him yesterday for me, and to hold the phone so I could speak, because I couldn't move my right arm, and if I can't feed myself, you know, and that is a problem with the extra time, because my mates work in private life, and they struggle, but they do the best. I mean, like at the moment, they're changing whether yeah, I know, they're going to heat up my soup, and they're just going to fresh me up wet wipes when it's cold in the winter. The heating on, it just wet wipes down, you know, it's too cold otherwise to get the buckets out. That's how they have to wash me out of buckets. Bloody wet room's not prepared. So I have tried to engage. Okay, so this is a record of fact, of evidence, first-hand knowledge. I have tried to engage these people. They've let me down. I'm not going to do it again. And in the meantime, I'm going back to the GP. I'm saying that this is what I've tried. This is handwritten. My mate's going to try and help me get paper that's ruled, you know, like lined, so I can write it out with her help, and try and get it typed up, and then just inform the GP that I've been let down, because cutbacks in these areas do not want to help people with high complex needs because of funding. It's all to do with funding issue. Yeah. So I just know of an individual that's similar to my situation, but she can't speak like this. She's got other speech problems, but she is getting 24-hour care and CPAVA, and it's mainly funded in a different way. So in this system, the county council is being tested. So I thought, well, okay, oh, when you're, unfortunately, those videos out there with a PIP as well, with DWP, if you know, they've already got on the PIP 1 form, PIP 2 form, of what I can do and not do, what I've got difficulties with, what I have, and my daughter ordered a statement of what she witnessed, what happened to me last year, and that still ain't bloody good enough with a bloody system. So what the hell is, you know? So anyway, I'm not just me, it's just going on with other people too. And you do no longer, this is what my acquaintance says, and his couple of friends, you don't see anybody like me out and about anymore. I don't know where everybody's gone. Are they in day centres? I don't know. But there's no care package. They don't want me to access nothing, you know. But what they expect to do, during the winter, when you're housebound, right, as well, you can't sit out in the car park, because, you know, there's no bloody top curb around here for me. And it's bloody freezing, isn't it? So you use more electric and gas. So they cut my DLA off. I got no means to heat my gas, prepaid gas, electric, let alone charge my bloody electric equipment up. So who's been put at risk here? Who's doing the harm, you know? So it's that bloody state system. It's responsibility of the public servants out there to make sure people are not in this position, and but they don't. They just care about the jobs, and basically it's really the management, the CEO. Now you look up on Companies House or any company, check, you'll find out who the CEO, the female of this kind of council is, and she is Teresa. On how much per year, you'll be able to find that out. It's public knowledge. You'll find out who the director is, adult social care, Kathleen, and you'll find out her connections. She's also got connections in business as a commercial director for Capita PLC. So that's a conflict of interest. Private limited company. And she's also heading the adult social care overall of the county council, which is responsible. You don't go to the public servants, i.e. politically, because it's a conservative area. You don't get nowhere either. So you just have to cut through the chase, pick out the bits that's relevant to your situation, keep to the point, put your dates in, especially when you're dealing with this PIP, because there's no way I'm going to use their mandatory consideration, their system basically, mandatory consideration, because I ain't done nothing. It's them that's caused the problem, not me. I've got nothing to prove. They are the ones that have to prove to me how their system's failed. And there's various forums out there. Check out Disability Rights website, Facebook pages, social media. Go and find and see for yourself how all of these DWP, capita and social care, and it's 4 issues, and housing, all of that is affecting United Kingdom people. My position throughout UK, the reality, people are making videos, they're blogging, and when they're able to. So that's it. I'm going to cut it short. I've got to rest. But nobody is going to get away with what they're doing to me and target me this way. I know who's behind it all. It's bigger picture, you know. But there's also just keeping it basic, keeping it simple. I haven't mentioned any surnames. You can check it out for yourself. The unlawful due process is not. And this time, at least I made some notes, so I kept it to point. So, just recap: assumptions being made. Your computer, if you're going through the similar position in UK, your medical evidence are not being scanned incorrectly. If you are having you are getting somewhere. You got family, you got friends to back you up, to support you in any meetings or any procedure, or make phone calls. Or if you're falling out with friends or family and you can make up with them, then do so, in my opinion anyway. But I ain't got that luxury. They made sure of that, to screw things, excuse my bluntness, to screw things up. And I've got evidence, and my mates know that. My private life friends have to come. The way they come and care for me is unreal. And the way the bloody Big Brother is today, 2018 plus, is unreal. I gotta go. I sound very, what's the word? I might come across quite sort of like, I just say it as it is. And there are days when I can't bloody speak because my glands are so swollen. And they just don't give a shite. So this is how they're affecting people. I wasn't even getting a lot of DLA anyway. It's minimal. And they got it wrong in 2013 anyway. I haven't been able to walk since 2010. So I'm just one of them genuine people, like thousands, are being peeing up the wall, being messed about unlawfully and lawfully targeted to save what. They're turning people against each other. That's what you want in the UK. It's getting worse. And if you haven't got any self-belief, any spiritual kind of like outlook, believing in yourself, trying to just get by each minute of the day, it is hard when it all bombards you all at once. But they're all businesses. They're all deliberate. They're all sort of like, we have every damn right, disabled people, despite what happens. You don't get asked to get ill and stuff like that. And it's deliberate. So, how this is saving the public purse, I don't know, because it's just going to add on to the pressure hospitals, NHS system. It's only going to cost the public more. If you're working, you're able-bodied, you know, all this to go through, it's only going to cost you a lot more in taxes, because we're ending up in the NHS system now, because our health deteriorates, and then it's going to cost the public more when it does, you know, and it's already has in my situation, because of negligence. All these, how much are they being paid? You think about it, are they being paid 20-30 grand a year, social worker? Yeah. And how much are these carers being paid? Proper people that really do care about the job. Pittance, aren't they, per hour? We need proper wages for those that, you know, in these care companies that do care. We need a proper system up. We don't need the bloody privatisation American system, thank you. You know, that's not helping people. We haven't got the cost to pay for private this, private that. They're just dividing. It's deliberate. All this is planned a long time ago. The agendas are already there. I know what's going on behind the scenes. I know it, but I'm just me. And no way, again, will I be going through their shite system. And, you know, and then they will make up labels, and be aware when you're dealing with people. Just get it in email, get it in writing. You know, if you're going to make a call, if you have the ability, make sure you record everything and keep diaries, keep notes and times and dates, because that's what the bloody well, when it goes to tribunal and their bloody crap system, and they want you to have nothing, they want you to be homeless. That's what they're doing to everybody else who it may not have physical disabilities but have other problems. It's deliberate, and it's totally human rights abuses. It really is. God bless. Keep safe. So I've got to go.